Hi, I'm Charlie Sanders, Chairman of the National Music Council of the United States, and it is my honor and privilege to be in discussion this morning with Master Arn Chorn-Pond, who is with us from Phnom Penh outside of it on a mountaintop. He has so graciously agreed to share his very compelling story of his use of music to make an incredibly positive difference in the world, in Cambodia and elsewhere. So welcome, Master Arn, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
The story of Cambodia since 1975 is well before, has been tragic, less so now, for sure.
Yeah.
But it's important, I think, for our audience to get an historical background of the very rich culture in Cambodia over the centuries in terms of music, and what happened to you personally, to your family, and to Cambodia as a whole when the Khmer Rouge and the dictator Pol Pot took power in 1975. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to hand it over to you to tell the story.
Thank you, Charlie. You know, Cambodian history had, long been focused also on the highest point with Cambodian history, like from the Angkor Empire, 1,000 years ago, that left, Angkor Wat, the temple that we all proud of, and the culture, the rich culture and heritage that we inherit from our masters before us, from our past. Music, arts, singing, and food, and everything we inherit, that existed in our everyday life. It's a roof and the soul of our lives. We have music, we have dance, we have singing. When we were just in our parents' womb and our firstborn, and then there's music and dance when we became puberty, and music and dance and rituals when we about to die, and after that, there are music and dance to really escort the soul, into another realm. So the music, dance, food, everything, it's in our lives. It's the roof of our and the soul of our lives. Fasting forward, in 1974, 73, 74, when war was already started, I was probably 11 years old, living in Battambang province, a province which close to the border of Thailand. And I didn't really really knows, what my parents did. All I knew was that they had an opera company from my great-grandparent until my father. And in 1973, 74, they were not performing anymore because of the artillery and the American bombing of B-52 were already dropping around. We heard already the sound of artillery dropping around our city. I live in quite a suburb outside of Battambang. So I was already homeless, living in the temple, Buddhist temple, serving Buddhist monk for food, for also serving Buddhist monk for in exchange for my instruction, so I can learn Pali and Sanskrit and learn my own language. And I was already also a gambler, 11 years old, gambling on the street. I love seeing movies, and there were movie theater that sometimes were bombed at, by the bombs, and grenade exploded. But I love going to the movies with my little brother and sister. and hearing music, even in the temple, we heard music all the time, and we experienced, food. Foods were everywhere and all that. Even though the country was about to fall, but I was gambling on the street, and that's how I was living that 2 years. And I remembered I loved going to the movie for seeing American, like more war movie, like World War One, World War Two. I wasn't sure whether American movie or somebody else movie, but and then there were kung fu movie, Chinese kung fu movie that I went, and when I came out with my little brother, I would imitate and beat my brother up, and I love those. We eat ice cream and all that after that, but those are very brief time. I remembered, and then 1975 came in. I was probably 12 then. Most of us do not know for sure how old we were. And the Khmer Rouge came in, and we were cheering them. I had a feeling already, eerie feeling about the Khmer Rouge, because I looked them in their face. They were not promising about peace. We were cheering them, like everyone on the street screaming that there's peace coming now, and I've heard the words Americans, bad Americans, or American left now, Americans are now defeated, and all these things. 5 or 6 days later, the Khmer Rouge were on the microphone and announced that we had to leave our home for 3 days, because American got angry, and because they lost the war, and they're coming back. They're going to bomb everybody. So that was a trick. They said that they told us we were leaving only 3 days from our home. So the next days that there were thousands of people packed on the highways and whatever they can carry. And I was separated. I was taken in living in probably a Buddhist temple 15 miles away from my home with 700 other children. And not too long after that, they were killing everywhere in that temple. And now I had to find way to survive the ordeals. I was just only 12, and we were forced to live there and to die there. We were forced to work from 5 o'clock in the morning until 12 midnight. And many times we were not giving food. And we were not prisoners per se. But the Khmer Rouge brought prisoners from from around the area, around the community, to go there, and very few will leave the temple alive. So I remember they killed 3 or 4 times a day, and many times the Khmer Rouge forced the children to watch. And I was forced also, with among other children, to see what they were doing to prisoners, and sometimes push them into the grave before they got killed. And most of them killed by the Khmer Rouge were not using guns to shoot the victims. I think they were planning to save bullets for maybe a future war against somebody, I don't know. But they killed victims mostly by stick, and they made a special axe to kill people. They would hit the people in the head with the back of the axe. They play games with the dead, and those are day in and day out. I had to live. And the middle of this, the Khmer Rouge now forcing us to play propaganda song for them. They wanted to start a music group and a dance group. I raised my hand nervously, because the Khmer Rouge, always trick you. They don't tell you the truth. So I risked my life and raised my hand, and in hope that they were starting a music group. So I raised my hand, and they did follow their words. So they forced us to play revolutionary song with this instrument called the kim. It's like a dulcimer, where few children were forced to play. To learn first, they brought a master, an old master, and a few weeks later, they killed my first master because they thought that the master had passed down all the skill to us. And they brought the second master, and then few other kids were still slow to learn the instruments. They were also, 3 or 4 of them were also ended up in the mango grove. Only 2 of us survived. I was the first one, number 1, because I didn't know why I was learning faster than any other kids. I think the reason was I never thought of that. The reason was that probably because I had an artist blood inside of me, because of my parents. So
let me ask you a quick question about, just to clarify, the Khmer wanted to eliminate past musical culture.
Yes,
and they wanted to replace it with their own musical propaganda.
Yes, and brainwash children. So the propaganda, call it revolutionary song, which is very fast, and the lyrics of the song mostly, working, killing, blood, hating Americans, hating the enemies who betray Pol Pot. Pol Pot, just like Hitler, betraying, they call it an organization, which is Angkar. And so I knew that it was propaganda song, and but I had to learn fast, and I realized that my second masters had lied to the Khmer Rouge that he had not taught me everything yet. So they were also after me. It's a matter of time, because the Khmer Rouge came to me and looked at me that I had a white skin and long fingers. They thought I was from a rich family that were pro-Americans. I told them that my mom sold vegetable. It was true. Only a few years that she did that. But before that, my mom and my dad, I think, owned up a company which, they will not spare them for any moment when they were taking over. So, but this time I do not know where they were now. And my master, I told them that my master did not, did not teach me enough skill yet, so they won't kill him. So my master told them the same with me. So we are helping each other secretly to survive. And he became like my parents, or already like my dad, the second master. I mean, for 3 years, I became really good at it, and I performed for their convention. I performed for the leaders of the Khmer Rouge, and and at the same time, they were still forcing us to, to see the killing and all that. So, for the total of 4 years, from 75 to 79, I was living in that camp, in that death camp. And 1979, the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia. Some people say the Vietnamese invaded Cambodia, and international community said, some people said that the Vietnamese came and liberate us, and with the other Cambodian factions, Cambodian soldiers, and ousted the Khmer Rouge. I was given, right away, I was given gun. The Khmer Rouge took my instruments away. They gave me gun, just like thousands of other children, to for the front line. And we were not even trained how to use guns. We were forced, probably the Khmer Rouge were trying to save their soldiers. So they forced the children like myself, who were not Khmer Rouge, to go and to throw the fire first and to die first before them. So they were very smart, and I didn't know how I really survived there then. I had to figure out how to use the guns on my own, and again, witnessed so many children shot and blown up by landmines. And for 1 year, probably walking, running, zigzagging around probably 300 miles, zigzagging in the jungle. Sometimes got lost in the jungle by myself and following monkey for food, and got cut off from the troop and from anybody, and I didn't know how I survived for an 11-year-old boy. I was on my last leg, I was very sick and crawling among the maggots along the border of Thailand. And then some girls refugees, Cambodian refugees who came and looking for firewood, saw me and then carried me to the camp where I was recovered. It took a few months to recover. I was almost died. They weigh me. I weigh about 30 pounds and with cerebral malaria and diarrhea, and I could not even take food. On that stage, they feed me glucose, and that's where I met I met a white man for the first time. They call him Americans, and Mr. Peter Pond, who came to the camp and tried to rescue us, and he later became my foster father. And in 1980, the fall of 1980, he took me to New Hampshire, near Canada. That's where he lives. And that's where I will spend my, almost 15 years there at the North Country of New Hampshire, Jefferson, New Hampshire.
Up north of Berlin. Yes, I know the area.
It's cold now, I think.
It is.
We live in the hip of the mountain there, and that Peter was a really crazy guy. He was like, I call him Pol Pot too. He woke us up every 5 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the snow, chopping woods, and we wanted to sleep. I never slept, in my life. So I want to sleep very well, and everybody in the camp told me that America just like heaven. You go there, they are very rich, they have everything. You can sleep well, eat well there. There are many cars, there are many buildings, but no. I mean, in New Hampshire, I still see all the jungle, all the tree. There were no building there, and I blacked out a lot of times, and I run away from home, and then the next day, he took me to school, White Mountain Regional High School, where, I feel like very much unsafe because, and I felt outnumbered by all these white children. They're all white kids. There were no black, no Asian, nothing. They were about 700 of them, and they came and they would start laughing at me and hit my head. In Cambodia, you don't hit the head, because it's Buddha, and your parent live in the head, and you don't touch it there. And just that, they touched my head, and we had a lot of fights already. And I asked them not to touch my head, and they didn't know that, you see. And I didn't speak the language, so they called me monkey. I went for the dictionary. What's monkey mean? So they called me chink. I wasn't sure what it means. So now I know that they call Chinese chink, but I wasn't Chinese. So, I had a lot of fights and ran away from home, from school. I was up to my, I was in a really deep depression. I couldn't explain myself. I was always ended up in the detention.
Mhm.
It seems like nobody knows, where we came from. Even our principal of the school, he had no idea of where I just came from and
And
where
you,
what
you, you were no longer playing music at this. You were not playing music at this time.
No,
You had
no
stopped.
music instruments with me anymore now. Yeah. But I think Peter knew. He felt that I need to share the story. I need to learn first how to learn English, to speak English. So he told my mom Shirley to not to get up at 4 chopping woods anymore, but 4 a.m. to learn English by heart. So just to say, my name is Arn Chorn-Pond. Cambodia. My parents died. Many children died. Just one word at a time. So I learned how to, and he knew that we need that to happen in order to ask for sympathy or to ask for not for them to make American children to make fun of us. And he knew I survived the jungle of Cambodia, but I might not survive the jungle of New Hampshire. So the only way I think my dad knew and understood that we all could do, was that I have to share my story. And I've learned that to do that. And not only anger that really had me, feeling deep depression, but I think the feeling of isolation, the loneliness that I felt inside myself. No one was in your side, your principal, the whole school, even my parents, even maybe the whole Americans are crazy, the all American people like that. So I was in a deep depression because of the loneliness that I felt for the first times, with angers, of course. I had all of those things. And I think when I started to believe in my dad, and I knew that Peter was very serious about me sharing the story, that he told me, I never seen him cry. That probably for first time, and that probably helped me to see, to felt his tear dropping on my face, and saying, if you die, we all family now. He said, I didn't understand it very well, but I felt the tear dropping in my face because I was in hospital with the depression, heart attack, and a small heart attack, I think. And then he said, please breathe, because I help you, and we are family now. I'm your father now, and you have a family now in America. And if you die, I'm gonna die. We all gonna die. So don't die. And you have to start speaking about your ordeals in order to have those kids stop calling you name. So I think that moment, I realized that we must do this together. And I began words by word, speaking first at the church, a small church. And I remembered as soon as I share my story, there was a little blonde girl, about around 11. I was probably 15 or 16 already years old. And the little girl, white-haired girl, came and hugged me, and she told me that I'm sorry what happened to your brother, your little sister that starved to death in Cambodia, and she wished that never any child or herself will go through what I went through in Cambodia. And she handed me a dollar. She thought I was still living in Cambodia. She said, "Here, $1 that I have coming to the church, and it can help you in Cambodia." So that kind of moment, that moment, that first time maybe I felt a hug from this white girl,
Yes.
that I felt connected. I felt that she was on my side. She was really, I also saw the tears in her eyes. And that was a revelation for me, to be hugged for the first time in my life. I never thought that I could have anybody's hug, like physically it helps quite a lot. She hugged me a long time, and I don't know how she learned that, but she looked at me in the eyes, and for a while she spoke that much. So I felt good, and I began to start sharing my story, and I began to also thinking about playing music again, so that I can I pick up the bamboo flute like what you have now at your office, and I learned how to play the flute from Cambodia, bamboo flute. My favorite song is like a lullaby, soothing song. It's a very most popular Cambodian folk song. And now I found out when I play it in different places around the world, like in Israel, in Palestine, and in the high school, in high schools around America.
Yes.
I was playing. I was playing the Irish flute. When the movie Titanic came out,
Yes.
they thought that I was playing the Irish flute from Titanic. Something they can connect, and they love that. And so playing music also I saw some kids were crying and stuff like that after hearing my story. But I think music also talks to them in a way that in a powerful way that connect me and them, connect my story to American kids in a deeper level. I had this feeling all along. I probably don't have to give them a speech of anything, but just play music. So music, there seemed to be something. It made me again, feel feel strong when I play the flute. I would play music again. I feel like I can really control anger inside of me every time I speak about my ordeals during the Khmer Rouge, and feel angry, feel remorse, feel guilty, and feel like sad, especially anger. I could strike anybody at any time. It's built up inside of me for all these years. But when I play music, I play the flute, especially the sound so soothing that that I really can calm myself down with the sound, and really help me a lot. So I think music.
Let me ask you, did you also get the feeling while you were healing yourself with music that you were healing the people hearing it as well and teaching them?
I'm not sure. I think they feel it. They feel it in a way. I'm not sure how they really feel. They might feel the same way as I feel or not. I'm not really sure, but I saw tears in their eyes. I feel the understanding. Some of them came up to me because I think music connect us, whether it's an Irish flute or Cambodian flute or Palestinian flute or other instruments around the world, made us in a way feel different feelings inside of us. But I think most important is connect us all, connect us in a good way. If music is in a good music, for peace, music for our soul, music that nurture us. There's a two-edged sword into this too. There music for propaganda, like I said before. I was forced to play by the Khmer Rouge, lyric and music for killing, for hate. They're using that for brainwash. I mean, even the Khmer Rouge, the worst people in the world, knew how powerful, understood how powerful music could be in brainwashing, in using it as a tool to gain their ideology, to gain support for their cause. They knew that. That was why they killed many musicians, because the musician will bring people together, and anything the Khmer Rouge want to do, to preach hate or preach propaganda, brainwash you, they wouldn't go along with it, because most of the Khmer music imitating nature, educating people, and they also sing, and most of the lyrics of their music, whether pops or traditional music, were always promoting peace and talks about love, between girls and boys, between parents and children, and mostly the Khmer traditional music from, Angkor Empire. So that was why the Khmer Rouge want to eradicate all of that and kill. I found out after the Khmer Rouge, after I've gone back to Cambodia in the 90s, during my high school year, to start an organization. Right now, you mentioned that giving music a lease of new life again, and having a handful of masters who survived the Khmer Rouge be able to teach again, and giving now the young people, young emerging artists now, their dreams and their creativity, their new hope for the future through music. I found out that they would 90%. It was just a number. 90% of all performers, including my family, died during the Khmer Rouge, and 1 million children died also during the killing field. So what else do we have to pass? And what else do we have to teach our children about Cambodians being Cambodians? That's really sad, and it's critical for me quickly to locate those few masters, who live in now obscurity, and nobody knew them. They were disoriented, from the Khmer Rouge killing field. They thought that the Khmer Rouge era has not ended that for them. So I was in a quick fix situation, an emergency situation. I brought them and, revive them and give them first time the care, a little money for them to go to the hospital, like health care, and just for them to pass down their skill to the next generations. Most of them wish to die, not to be drunk to die, but to pass down their skill to be able to teach again in their life. So that's a past 10 years in the 90s to 2000. Now we are immersing ourselves to give grant, to give opportunity by giving resources and networks and everything else for the emerging young artists who's capable of dream new dreams and hope new hopes, for Cambodia, for themselves, for their family, and for Cambodia, and for the whole world also, to know about present Cambodia, not only the killing field, not knowing only about Angkor Wat, the most famous temple in Angkor Wat, but through the living arts, and through, making a career and a living as an artist, So they are now, yeah.
Before we talk about Cambodia Living Arts, your organization, you actually met Master Mike, who had taught you in the concentration camp.
Yes.
I use that term advisedly. And what was the reunion like?
I went back in 1996, when I was working, I'm working as a gang prevention workers in Lowell, Massachusetts, second largest Cambodian population resettled there. I raised enough money speaking around the country, and then gone back for the first time, second time. I tried to find my family first there, but then found out no one. I probably have 24, 25 members of my close relative dead, including my little brother and sister that I love, that love to go to movie with, in the 70s. He recognized me right away after 23 years. He was the one who helped me prepared for the war when the Khmer Rouge took the instruments away and gave me guns. And he prays for me, and he said, Arn, I'm sure we will see each other again. That moment on, it took us 23 years. And then, I found him on the street cutting hair for the ex-Khmer Rouge on the street of Battambang province. and he turns around. He saw me, and he was smiling, but I saw tears coming down. He called my name, and it was hard. It was hard to see him in this condition. He was very dignified, a built short man, short old man, and very strong will. And he hugged me, and I hugged him back. And he said, "Please, where have you been?" He said first. "And are you okay?" I said, "Yes." And "Please help me." He said, I can smell alcohol. I can smell alcohol in him. And and said, "Please help me. Don't let me die as a drunk. I want to teach my instrument." He played fiddle, Cambodian fiddle called trosal, and he played many other instruments too. But his most knowledge of trosal, and he was very well known in the past before the Khmer Rouge. So, but we became like father and son, and I was really happy and lucky to emotional reunion between him and me. And I came back to America a few years and returned with my memory of his calling for me to do something so that he can teach and pass down his skill. So a few years later, I found enough money to go back, and that's where in 1998, where I started a small, a school without wall on the street wherever they live, and I found a handful other masters. Like, these masters were well known and famous, very famous in old times, like Master Cheikh Mike, for example, one of the last greatest opera singer ever, and the king of the flute, Jim Sung, the king of the woodwinds, and the other instrument player, Master Kung Nai, the blind chapai player, who are now perform with a young hip hop star that reached 100 million viewer around the world recently. So some of them survive until today, but only very handful of them. So that's how I started it, and so quickly they passed down, and we are trying to preserve the performing arts, traditional performing arts, and different art forms as soon as we can, and that's how it started decades ago. So
tell us about Cambodian Living Arts today. Tell us about the organization as it has moved forward.
It changes. We have our first now, Mr. Plun. I like to acknowledge him. He's also a former refugee, his parents, and now he's became returned to Cambodia from Canada, and he's the first, director of Cambodian Living Arts, who's really now taken the organization and his team, Francis and the board and other people, who now an organization turned. Now we evolved into grant making, into eventually into giving resources, training and networks and to this emerging artists now, thousands of them, tens of thousands of them in the capital and around across Cambodia and remote area with live music and the dream of playing music will never happen for them even today. Many of whom were the children of former Khmer Rouge. So right now around the country, I'm very proud of what the Cambodian Living Art had become now, in giving this opportunity for the next generation and the new hope for the new creativity of these young people. And they are now performing not only Cambodia, we have also exchange program around the world, and many young people around the world in Southeast Asia region and internationally we have exchange and promotion of the arts, and they've known Cambodian Living Arts all around the world now. They've called me and they came to visit us, and they said, I remember the, Mexican young people or Nicaraguan or Thai, Vietnamese young people who we invited to come to our first, a music festival a few years ago, said, how can we, how can you do this, after the Khmer Rouge? You have started this only a few years now, it became so big and so known. Can we start like a Vietnamese or Thai living arts or Chinese living art or Mexican living art? I say, why not? We have a package. We have a package that works. That how we started it, how it transformed from the just merely, a situation where we have to only, preserve and revive the traditional music or performing arts, but now evolve eventually to a most successful art institution anywhere in the world by giving opportunity, giving grants and many scholarships, few scholarships, one of which I'm very happy about. It's on my name, Arn Chorn-Pond Scholarship, which we are giving to thousands of emerging artists who are capable and whose really leadership is really shown. They just need resources. They just need training, a little push, and especially grant and network and all the things. They will kick off, and they. So that's where we are now after a decade, 2 decades now. We are on that, and we will see the next decade probably a new creation, a new innovative, strategic initiative that these young people are starting. So we are, and they are showing Cambodia in the present time through their works right now. So explosion. So I hope you can help us and join what we are doing, and yeah.
Master Arn, you have our word that we will certainly be working with you and helping you to do that, and we will let our audience know by putting on the screen how they can get in touch and become part of supporting the organization. You and I, to round out our conversation on I think a very important note, you are a very modest man. I had asked you before about what you can teach us, because this is a symposium about music suppression. What your experience teaches us, and it occurs to me that you already answered that question, and I'd like, let me pose it this way. Over history, we've seen what happened to you personally happen over and over again. We just in the last 100 years, we've seen the Nazis do it. We have seen the Cultural Revolution in China, where all the instruments were destroyed. We have seen the Chilean government kill their musicians. The great Mr. Hara being having his hands broken and executed in the stadium. The use of music as a negative and the taking away of people's culture seems to be a repetitive process with totalitarianism. You are turning that around in the other direction, and by combining the story of the tragedy that you faced with the message that music is the antidote and the preventative of this happening in the future. Is that part of a lesson that the Cambodian Living Arts program is teaching? And is there something that we can take from that to have other people join you around the world in delivering that message, that the way to avoid genocide is to tell the genocide story and add music as the antidote and culture as the antidote?
Most effective, very effective way. You don't have to talk about democracy. You don't have to talk about, music heals us. It heals me when I return from a child of war to a man of peace. I never, don't ever underestimate the power of music. And it's a two-edged sword too. They use music to kill. They use music to propaganda, to do propaganda. They use music and dance to have this kid learn how to sell, just merely selling jeans and showing their body, so they are smart in terms of money and economic boost, and they use their music to promote guns. So there's two-edged sword. We can choose whether we want to be a Buddha or be Pol Pot, or we want to be Jesus Christ or Hitler. It's in our heart. And hate and do not have face, any face. I could not find the Khmer Rouge face, any particular face for me to hate. So hate is in all of us, and love is in all of us. So we choose. Music is just remind us. I chose now peace music, music that nurture our soul, music that nurture our lives, and music that will bring us to heaven, to other levels. That music for the first place is from heaven, that our masters have left for us. We have been created through music, through sound, through vibration. We haven't forgotten all of that. And music will remind us of the love they give us. So we know important music, what music can do, can help us and all this. So my little dream for me, my personal little dream is that I was just wishing a child, beyond a Cambodian child, just any children around the world, to carry musical instruments, to sing, to dance, to play music, and come together with love, with food, with happiness, not to carry guns like I did. I know firsthand, hate, nobody wins with this game. We all dig our own grave, and hate and war and selling guns for profit, using music arts for profit, just merely for money. The world will end altogether. Nobody wins. Everyone, including politicians, including doctors, including business people, we all gonna die. So invest in music. We have been put down. Many children around the world were used merely by the pawns of the interests of the big nation. Cambodia were used as a pawn of power, of world power. We just merely victims of this greed of selling guns and selling, greed for power, for money, and invest. It works with Cambodian Living Arts. It works. Music transformed me and helped me to heal from the child of war with wounds inside my heart, now becoming and never turn back. I believe this strongly until I die, that music has power to help us to achieve peace, to live in harmony with each other. The right music, the original music that were given from heaven to us, to heal each other, to help each other, not to kill and hate each other, will bring us all in a higher place. So invest in something that works. Cambodian Living Arts, music give confidence. Anything else, if that not happen, is these children don't have confidence. They were beaten down and imposed on them, depressed like I have been in my life. Performing, playing music, I remembered I was put on stage, and there I was somebody else when I was on stage and trying to express how I really feel. I want people to know how I really feel inside through performance. There's no other effective way for anybody, any child. When you start singing, when you start playing music, you are in other place, you know, a higher place that you can really feel safe enough to perform for the people who watch you. It heals you, it gives you confidence, and it gives you dignity. And please invest. And we make it work. Cambodian Living Art is not a handout. We don't ask for a handout. Strategically, we made it work, and it's become you know, we have an international standard of 501c3. So anybody can give anywhere in the world. Invest in music, not guns.
Understood, and thank you, Master Arn. Beautifully put. You know, again, my modest friend, you have turned the tragedy personally in your life, you know, into becoming one of the most positive forces we've seen in the music community. And you don't just talk about it, you're doing it. And that's being the best. Well, that is being the best master teacher of all, is leading by example. So we are in your debt. And I want to thank you so much for sharing your experiences. I know it's difficult for you, but it's a learning experience for all of us. And, you know, again, we will be in touch. We look forward to working together.
We'll do again, Charlie. Thank you for doing that from New York. And I thank you, New York, and people who live in New York and New England, literally giving a gift of Cambodian Living Arts. We cannot have two, but we can only have one Cambodian Living Arts in Cambodia, a gift from heaven also for Cambodia, for my people. I thank you, a New Englander and USA, and also people around the world who know Cambodian Living Art and my life, what I'm committed to, and my investment, my life too. I will do it with money or not. I will do it with Cambodian Living Arts or not. It's my life. It's my life, and I hope it's yours too. I hope music and peace and harmony, it's yours too. So invest where our mouth is. So Cambodian Living Art works. So please have living arts all over the world. Khmer Magic Music Bus, bringing music for free into remote area, even to the Khmer Rouge families. That's how we got back. You know, we also, you look at the Cambodian Living Arts season of Cambodia in New York City, 2013. Go and look at that. We brought a plane load of artists, not to drop B-52 in like what American did to Cambodia, but many years later, we, Cambodian Living Art, brought 20 art forms, hundreds of artists flown to New York and perform in different venues for many people, like in Carnegie Hall, Joy Theater, in different important venue at the BAM and all that for a whole month. And we made it happen. And thank you, New Yorkers, also.
Well, we believe in music, not bombs, as well.
Okay, let do that. That's why it happened there. 2013, you go into it, you go down, and we should continue to do that more and more around the world.
We absolutely will. So thank you. Enjoy your time. We will be in touch, and we'll be encouraging everyone to support your program. So thank you,
everyone. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.